Hey YouTube, so in case you didn't hear, Riot Games actually announced their patch 12.6 changes that they're going to be releasing on March 30th. So, I was scrolling through the changes, and I actually found out that they were nerfing Hecarim. So, what we're going to do is I will take a look at the nerfs, and then I'll show you guys, first off, just like how bad it is, and why this should gut Hecarim. So what they're essentially doing is they're making it so that his Q base damage is going from 60 to 208, and then they're changing it to 60 to 180. So they're legitimately nerfing his Q damage by 15% at max rank. And keep in mind, Hecarim gets like max Q rank at like level 7, right? So anytime from level 7 onwards, this is a nerf. So legitimately about like maybe 8 minutes into the game onwards, he's hard nerfed. And then what they're also doing is they're making it so that his E damage is going from 30 to 110, or 60 to 120. And they're changing it, so they're nerfing the max base damage of his E by 40 at max rank, and the minimum by 20. So what this is essentially going to do for Hecarim, in case you're wondering, is it's just going to make it so that he's a lot weaker in team fights, and he has a much harder time solo killing champions, right? And the reason they're actually nerfing him is because he's recently been pick or ban in like LEC, LCS, LCK, if any of you guys watch that. And he's been performing really well in solo queue too. And he has like one of the highest ban rates of any jungler. But the craziest thing is that even though he has all these things, he's not actually OP. So if you take a look at his stats, right, you can see that with any Sunder or Trinity build above Master Plus, right, he's actually negative win rate. And the only build that has a positive win rate is Chemtank. And even his overall win rate is only 50.35, which, if you actually look at win rates, puts him at the 22nd highest win rate champion. So he has the 22nd highest win rate with a barely positive, or the 22nd highest win rate with a win rate that's barely positive, right? And yet Riot still is nerfing him instead of nerfing like any of these other champions. And they're actually buffing Rengar next patch, who has like a 1% higher win rate. So essentially, now I'll talk about like what the nerfs are going to do. These nerfs are going to make it so that tank iterations of Hecarim won't be as good for solo carrying. But the crazy thing is that you don't actually do these tank iterations of Hecarim with like Chemtank, or Deadman's, and Force of Nature if you ever want to solo carry. The only reason people do it in the pro scene is because they know that their teammates can carry the fights with damage, and they're just there as like a fear, like just for like fear utility, right? So if Riot actually wanted to nerf Hecarim, what they should have done is they should have nerfed his R fear duration. Because right now, his R can fear for a max of 2 seconds. And if they would reduce that to 1.5, it would severely reduce the amount of impact he can actually have in those like later game team fights without really affecting his solo carry potential all that much. But by nerfing his base damage, they just make him much worse for solo queue, but leave him more or less unchanged in pro play. He'll still have a lower clear speed, which might affect things, since they're nerfing the Q damage, but in terms of team fighting, he's not actually changed all that much. And the real bad thing about this change is the fact that if you look at Hecarim, right now top lane Hecarim is already miserable. I mean, mid lane isn't bad with this because most of mid lane games are me, but like top lane Hecarim and mid Hecarim are going to be literally unplayable now. Like with this Q damage, nah, like you can literally never do lane Hecarim ever again. And jungle builds, the Triforce and Sunder build are going to be much worse since he loses a lot of DPS, and it'll literally make it so that the only way a Hecarim will be good is if he gets items to carry. So which items will he be able to carry with? Still Chemtank, Death Stance, Manamune. So what they're doing is they're making it so you can't build Triforce or Sunder anymore, or you're literally trolling, and he can only be built with the build that I do if you want to solo carry. So overall, really, really bad changes by Riot. They targeted the complete wrong thing. They're completely gutting his carry potential. But on the bright side, what this will do is, since he'll be really bad, like I predict he's going to go to about a 47% win rate. And what that's actually going to do is it's going to drastically reduce his ban rate. So for all the Hecarim one tricks out there, you'll be able to get your champion a lot more. But the games you do get him, you won't be able to carry as hard. But yeah, so I just wanted to make a video covering it in case you guys hadn't heard of it, and just like giving my thoughts on it. And yeah, so we'll just see what happens to it. But hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you for the next video. Peace.